Anne is a young, naive and sincere girl whose life has gone through many trials and tribulations. Her story is an ode to perseverance and hope that does not die even in the darkest moments. It all started when Anne fell in love with a guy who, unfortunately, never loved her seriously. She was young and trusting, believed in sincere feelings, and became pregnant. There was no joy. Her heart was broken, because the guy left her without even saying goodbye, disappeared from her life. Anne cried for a long time, woke up at night, not knowing how to live on. But over time, she decided to pull herself together and not return to her family in the village with serious problems. She realized that she needed to move on. Left alone, Anne went to a big city. There she had to look for a job to support herself. She became a nurse in a hospital, a hard, monotonous and very responsible job that required a lot of strength and patience. The pay was low and the work was hard, especially for such a young girl. In addition, during this time she lost her child, which was another painful blow to endure. But Anne did not give up. She continued to fight for her life, for her future. Soon she met her grandmother in the hospital, a kind and caring woman who worked there as a nurse. The grandmother saw a spark of hope in Anne and invited her to go with her to the village, to her house. Anne agreed, hoping for peace and an opportunity to start over. Life in the village turned out to be a new beginning for Anne. There she was able to rest a little from the bustle of the city, to feel the warmth and comfort of rural life. In the village she met a guy, a tractor driver named John. He was a kind, hard-working and sincere person. An affair began between them, and soon Anne and John began to live together. 3 years passed. It seemed that now she had found peace and a loving family. But the joy was short-lived. Anne couldn't get pregnant, and John, tired of unsuccessful attempts to become a father, left for his neighbor Mary, who was crazy about him and tried to get his attention in every possible way. Left alone again, Anne decided not to give up. She left on the first bus she came across to another city with no specific destination. There she managed to get a job as a cleaner in a small store. She did not have a higher education, and such a job seemed the only option to provide for herself. Life was becoming difficult, but Anne continued to work and hope for the best. A few months later, she noticed that a boy named Brad lived next to the store. He was only 8 years old, and he was constantly getting into trouble. Anne noticed that he was stealing bread and milk from the store. The saleswomen turned a blind eye, and the owner of the store, having learned about the theft, asked not to touch him. It turned out that Brad's mother had died, and his father had started drinking and could not provide for his son. He felt very sorry for the boy, and decided to help. She started following Brad, found out where he lived, and started coming to his house. She helped the boy with his homework, cooked food, and took care of him. Gradually, Brad's father noticed Anne's kindness and sincere heart, and the father, seeing how much care she showed for her son, began to change himself. He quit drinking, got a job as a driver, and soon fell in love with Anne. He asked her to live together. Anne agreed. She felt that she had finally found her happiness. A month later, she found out that she was pregnant. This was the result of all the trials, all the suffering and difficulties that she had to go through. Now, after 9 years of hard struggle, Anne was happy. She found a family, love, and hope for a future that, despite everything, turned out to be bright and full of bright moments. Her story is an example of how even the most difficult trials can lead to happiness if there is faith and the strength to move forward. Anne learned to appreciate every moment of her life, because it was thanks to her resilience and love that she was able to become a woman who is loved and respected. And even though fate was unfair to her in the beginning, she showed that even in the darkest times you can find light and rebuild your destiny.